I thought I'd try something a little bit fun today. And I thought of this because of a couple videos that I did recently. One was about vinyl records and are they an investment? And the other one was a video that I just did a few days ago about what will happen to my collection when I'm gone. Now, there were a lot of comments, and actually both videos, about, taking the time to find out if the collection is worth anything or what it's actually worth, especially if it goes to a family member who decides that it's too much for them and that they want to sell it. So the best thing is to have the information for them so that they can at least go into the transaction informed. They won't get market price for it, but at least they'll be informed. And I've mentioned a few times in different videos that I want to do just that. I want to take on a project of figuring out what my collection is worth, album by album. And I'll use something like Discogs to help with that. What I do want to say, though, for anybody who wants to undertake this, if they have a large collection, is it's a painstakingly painful process to identify the pressing and the final amount, well, or the estimated amount for what it's worth, which is exactly why I've been putting it off. Now, I've never timed myself trying to, figure out what a record is worth using Discogs and, looking at the etchings and the dead wax and all the other information on the record. But I would bet it probably takes me 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how many reissues there are of a particular album. So if it's 5 to 10 minutes per record, we're probably talking, if I'm lucky, 6 records an hour. So some quick math. And I'll say this up front, I hate math. If it's 10 records an hour, it's going to take me approximately 150 hours. And if I did that nonstop, without taking any breaks, that's about 6 days. Now, realistically, if I carved out an hour every day to do this, and I really can't carve out an hour every day to do this, but say I did, it's probably going to take me 6 months to get through them all. And I betcha even more than that. So how do I make it fun? Well, I decided I'll make a game of it. So I created this. It's a web app that contains the cover art for every record in my collection. Now, I used to be a software developer, not a really good one, but I know enough to make me dangerous. And I've actually forgotten more than I can remember. But I did remember enough to make this web app out of HTML, CSS, and a bit of JavaScript. Well, actually more than a bit of JavaScript. And it's a randomized slot machine. Now, if this was a game show, I'd call it, How Much Is It Worth? That's not a bad title, right? How much is it worth? I kind of like it. You just need one of those like crowds yelling it out. How much is it worth? Granted, this means it's going to take me that much longer to catalog them. Not that I'm going to video myself cataloging every single record, but still, it'll be a fun little game show that I'll throw out here now and then. So the first step is to identify the records that we'll catalog and find out their estimated worth. I should have added sound effects. All right, so here we go. We have ACDC's Back in Black, Aeros Smith's first album, and Television's last studio album. Okay, here we go. Let's set the timer. Yeah, those times are crazy. Maybe next time I can beat that. So let's start with the very first one, and that is ACDC's Back in Black. I'm not going to go into the history of every single one of the records because who has time for that? But I did buy this copy in 1982, and it was originally released in 1980, and it's the first record, ACDC album, to feature Brian Johnson on vocals. And he replaced Bon Scott, who died February of the exact same year. Now, this is one of those rare instances where the replacement singer is just as good or at least just as successful as the singer that he replaced. I can think of a couple others, but it's very rare. Ronnie James Dio is a good example when he sang for Black Sabbath after Ozzy's departure. This album boasts a number of huge songs like Hell's Bells, You Shook Me All Night Long, and the title song Back in Black. Anyway, this actual pressing has RL, the initials RL, scratched into the runout, which means that Bob Ludwig mastered this particular album, and he also cut the lacquer. And this particular one is a 1980 special pressing. After I identify it, I have a little card I created that, I kind of jot down all of the pertinent information just so somebody has it if I'm not around. So after I identified the pressing in this little, effort here, I purposely didn't look at the estimated amount. I figured we'd do that together. Now, this is a VG Plus record. At least that's what I'm putting it at. Both the media, the album itself, the vinyl itself, and the cover. I could probably go VG Plus Plus, but I'm conservative. So, saying all that, I'm gonna guess $25. Now, what do you think? Well, let's see. Oh, not bad. I was somewhat close. This would fall between the median and the high, so maybe it's worth $50 in today's market. Next up is Aeros Smith's self-titled album. Now, this one I bought a couple times over the years, and being that I live in New Hampshire and they're a New Hampshire-based band, or at least they initially met in New Hampshire, it was required that you owned this album back in the early 1980s. Now, this was originally released in 1973, and it contains their hit song "Dream On," which actually says that on the front cover, featuring "Dream On." Now, one thing about this album is it also has the song "Mama Kin," which, if you're not too familiar with the band and its history, they they opened a club in Boston called Mama Kin. I think they opened that around 1995, and it subsequently closed around 1999. But one thing that was really cool is the band actually made a surprise appearance there without telling anybody they were going to, under the fake name The G-Spots. So anyway, back to this album. After researching it, I thought it was an original copy or original pressing, but it's not. It's a reissue. It's a 1976 reissue. It's a VG Plus condition, I would say, overall. So I'm going to go with $10. Yeah, not bad. $10 it is. Last but not least is Television's self-titled album. And when I say self-titled, this wasn't their first album. It was actually their third album that was released under poet, singer, songwriter, and guitarist Tom Verlaine. Their first album was Marquee Moon, and this one was released in 1992, which was 14 years after their second album, Adventure. Now, if you've been paying any attention at all on YouTube, there's a bit of controversy over their first album's re-release by Rhino Records recently, that record being Marquee Moon. It's kind of a bit of fake drama. I mean, I own that copy, the Rhino Records copy that was released recently, and it sounds great. Anyway, like I said, this one was released in 1992, years after their first two albums that were released in the late 70s. This is a 2012 reissue, and I bought it sealed, bought it brand new, and I'd say it's in near mint condition right now. So, given near mint, maybe $40. Whoa, I was way off. Pleasantly way off, though. In today's market, this might be around, I don't know, $75 or $80 maybe. Not bad. So here's the tally. Now that was fun. Well, for me anyway. At least it made it a much more enjoyable experience than if I was doing this all by myself. So thanks for keeping me company. Now, what do you think? Should I do another one of these every couple of episodes? Let me know what you think by sticking it in the comments below. And, don't forget to tap like and subscribe and all those things to help, keep this channel going. I appreciate it. And as always, thank you for watching, and especially for watching today. This, like I said, this was fun for me. And until next time, please take care of yourself and enjoy your records.